Hey, what's up, Star Status? It's 3D the Rap Star, aka is the Benz Man, and in today's video, I'm gonna be talking about the top 5 AMG V8s that you could get right now for under 50 grand. Let's go. So coming in at number 5 is the CLK55 AMG. Now, what I really liked about it at the time was it came out where you still had the E-Class with the bubble lights. The C-Class had the bubble lights. But then they came out with the CLK, and we were all like, what is this? We didn't even know what it was at the time, but we just knew it looked great. It was in a time frame where the market still had heavy produced sedans. And if you check this model, you see it has 362 horsepower, and even the miles is low. 25K on the clock, and it's a 2004. That looks like a good buy, actually. But remember, with all these models, reliability is at your own risk. But if you can find one that looked great, it's well below 50K. And another great selling point that I like about this car is it had the pillarless frame windows. Now, the only reason why I'm putting it at number 5 is because it is a little bit older than the other cars on the list. But other than that, this is a great car. All right, so number 4, where my CL head's at. And the reason why I'm putting it at number 4 is because, you know, as it get older in age, the technology on it got a little bit older. And not only that, a lot of these models now that you look at have a little bit more mileage than some of the other ones on the list. But indeed, it is the CL63 AMG with 536 horsepower and a 5.5 liter engine. Like, let that big body breathe. Now remember, with the CL though, it is more about personal taste, because some people like maybe like the 2005 years, some people like the 2008, you know, non-facelift years, and some people like this, the 2011, 12 and up years that look like this with the facelift. And then, you know, some people like this model with the naturally aspirated V8 engine before they turboed them. Now, number 3 is the almighty and forever loving C-Class, the C63 AMG. And now I'm gonna say the coupe or sedan because everyone has different tastes, but you can get both models if you search good enough for under 50K with well and decent enough miles on them. Now, what's the love about the C-Class is most people would put this at number 1 because it is a more compact car. If you're getting the AMG, that's what it's about. You want one of the cars that weigh the less and that can corner real good, and that's small enough to really put that engine to the test and corner good. So you want, you know, something a little more light, and that's this C-Class. And now this car is rated at 503 horsepower, and city driving is 17 miles to the gallon, but that is not bad considering you are still getting a car with 503 horsepower, and that's a V8, and that's powered by AMG. And all right, y'all, so coming in at number 2 is the Mercedes-Benz CLS63 AMG. Now, this car is real iconic because when it first came out, you know, it didn't look like this model, but when the first model came out, it was the first to be dubbed the 4-door coupe and made its own segment, and a lot of people in the car industry followed. And now, I'm not only putting the CLS in this category, I am putting the E-Class in it as well because the CLS was created off the E-Class. But the reason this get the number 2 spot is because it had a more sportier look. Something was different about it. This car had changed the game. And if you speak to a lot of Mercedes-Benz owners, they will tell you if they don't like the CL or like a S-Class or the S-Class coupe, they will tell you that they have the CLS. Like, this is a fan favorite of Mercedes. And without this E-Class, there will be no CLS. But who knows, maybe they would have still made one, but the E-Class was so iconic, the CLS got the spin-off to be the more like sportier version, while the E-Class was the more executive version. And the E-Class comes in at number 2 because the E-Class is so iconic. It got heritage and prestige that dates way back in the day. And another thing, they normally put the E-Class, you know, with a lot of horsepower coming in standard or stock at this time in 2014 was 550 to about 570. And okay, so you might ask yourself, where is the E63 coupe? Well, around this time, Mercedes-Benz did not make an E63 coupe. They did not have a V8 version of an E-Class coupe, but they did have an E500 that went to an E550. And alright, so coming in at number 1 is the S63 AMG. And now the reason why this really sits at number 1 is because all the technology it has. Anyone that rolls AMG will kind of tell you, I'll take a C63, I'll take an E63. Why? Because they handle better. The S-Class is a big boat. But if you want something under 50K, then this might be the best option because you get the better technology. You get just a newer overall car. Everything is newer in this 2015 AMG than the other cars. But this is not the only one on the list coming in at number 1. It is the coupe as well. But yes, these cars are heavier than the C and E, but I think bang for your buck, this car is a lot better with the new technology, you know, with the updated ambient lights, the massaging seats, and just everything that this car had to offer. But you still gotta look them up for yourself because some people, just because this at number 1, some people still prefer the C and E. I gotta keep saying that because of the body size. Some people don't like that large style car, but there is an offset to it because it has way more, and I mean way more, to offer than the other classes. And not only that, you get a model of a car that speaks for itself. And speaking of cars that speak for itself, there is also a coupe version. Now this one is priced though at $59,998, but what's $998, right? If you're at that cusp of 50, you might can spend that extra $998 to get this thing unless you don't have it. And the reason why it is at number 1 also because the car in general is more newer and these S-classes have better technology, as I stated. And a lot of these cars just have the latest and greatest that Mercedes have to offer. Now, you gotta always remember it comes down to preference and what you like. So I didn't really put them in any order from best to worst. Just because one may be at number 5 don't mean it's better than number 1. If that fits your budget and that's what you're looking for, then that indeed is the better car. But technology wise and all the way up to the newest car and the newest Mercedes-Benz have to offer would be in the S-Class. So just put it like this. If you're going to a track or you want something that corner good that you could just have fun in, your best option will be a C or an E-Class. Now if you want something you could just ride around in, have that boss feel and know you got that power, then your best option would be an S-Class. Because it is just a different feel when you have an S-Class. It's kind of like if you have one, then you know that feeling. You're in like that secret club that just know what it's like to own a big body Benz. But I hope y'all like today's video. Signing off, Benz Man.